Richard began dressing up. Imole watched him curiously. Where are you going? I'm going to Obina's birthday party. Remember I told you about it. Richard replied as he buttoned his shirt. Without saying a word, Imole got up and started dressing. Imole sat on the sofa with her arms crossed, staring blankly at the television. A program was running, but her mind was elsewhere. She tapped her right foot nervously on the floor, waiting for her husband, Richard, who had stepped out to receive a call. As soon as Richard walked back in, Imole stood up and confronted him. Why did you go outside to take the call? Why not here in the living room? Richard sighed and replied, the TV was loud. I didn't want it to disturb the call. Imole frowned. Who called? Richard took out his phone and showed her the call log. It was my brother Joshua. Imole glanced at the phone, then back at Richard. Why did Josh call? Richard nodded. Honey, come on. He just wanted to talk about the family reunion next month. Imole's expression softened a bit. Oh, I see. I was just worried. You've been stepping out for calls a lot lately. Richard put his arms around her shoulders. I know, and I'm sorry if it's made you worry. It's just that sometimes I need a very quiet place to talk. Imole sighed. I understand. I just don't like being left out. Richard hugged her tightly. You are never left out, honey. You are the most important person to me. How about we sit together and plan something fun for the reunion? Imole smiled up a bit. Okay, that sounds good. They sat back on the sofa, side by side, and started talking about the family reunion. Richard talked about a few activities that Joshua had earlier suggested, and Imole added her own ideas. Soon they were laughing and excited about the upcoming events. The TV continued to play in the background, but neither of them cared. They were too busy enjoying each other's company. Imole glanced at the clock. I think I will go to bed early tonight. I have a client's head to make early tomorrow. Richard frowned. You shouldn't stress yourself, honey. Why don't you send one of your girls instead? Imole shook her head. No, they will be busy at the salon. Besides, the client specifically asked for me. It's her birthday here. Richard felt more concerned. But you're pregnant. You need to take it easy. Imole smiled and placed a hand on her belly. I'm only pregnant, not sick. Pregnancy isn't a disease. It won't stop me from doing my job. Richard sighed, still worried. I just don't want you to overwork yourself. Imole took his hand. I know you are worried, but I'm fine. I enjoy making hair, and I wouldn't want to let my clients down on a special day. Richard looked into her eyes and saw how determined she was. He nodded slowly. Okay, but promise me you would take break if you need to. Imole smiled. I promised. Now I really need to get some sleep. Richard hugged her gently. All right, sleep well. I will check on you in a bit. Imole kissed his cheek. Good night, my love. She stood up and headed to the bedroom. As Richard watched her go, he felt proud and worried, but he knew Imole was strong and capable. As she lay down, Imole thought about her clients and the beautiful hairstyle she would create. She smiled, rubbing her belly slightly. We've got this, she whispered to herself before drifting off to sleep. Richard and Imole had been married for more than 2 years. Richard was very concerned because this was Imole's first pregnancy. In their first and second year, Imole had been very worried because she hadn't gotten pregnant yet. Richard always tried to calm her down, saying, "Don't worry, it will happen when the time is right." Just one day after their second anniversary, Imole started feeling strange. Richard took her to the hospital, and the doctor confirmed that she was pregnant. It was the best news they had ever had. Imole's eyes were filled with tears, while Richard held her close, whispering words of love to her. Now, 4 months later, Richard was doing everything he could to make sure Imole and the baby were healthy and happy. He pampered her with her favorite food, did most of the housework, and always made sure she was comfortable. "How are you feeling today?" Richard asked every morning, bringing her breakfast in bed. "I feel good, thanks to you," Imole would reply, smiling. Richard took her to all her doctor's appointments. He wanted to make sure he was involved and supportive every step of the way. The next day, after Imole returned home from her client's hair appointment, she was exhausted and decided to rest. Richard gently massaged her feet and brought her a smoothie. "Yeah, drink this. It will help you feel better," Richard said, handing her the smoothie. "Thank you, my love. You're so sweet," Imole replied with a tired smile. After a while, Richard began dressing up. Imole watched him curiously. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to Obina's birthday party. Remember I told you about it," Richard replied as he buttoned his shirt. Without saying a word, Imole got up and started dressing too. Richard gave her a puzzling look. "Why are you getting dressed? I thought you were supposed to be resting." Imole glanced at him and smiled. "I'm fine. I want to go with you." Richard sighed, knowing the real reason behind her decision. "Imole, you know you should be taking it easy." "I know, but I feel better now," she insisted, adjusting her dress. Deep down, Imole didn't want Richard to be at the party alone, surrounded by any woman. Richard knew this too well. He smiled to himself. At the party, Richard and Imole enjoyed themselves, mingling with friends and laughing. They stayed for a while longer, but as soon as Imole began to look tired, Richard didn't hesitate. "Time to go home. You need your rest," Richard said, rubbing her shoulder gently. Imole didn't argue. "Okay, let's go," she said, rubbing her eyes. As they were about to get into the car, a young fair lady approached Richard with a smile. "Hi, Richard," she greeted warmly. Imole quickly stepped forward, almost bumping into the woman. "Hello, I'm Imole, Richard's wife," she said firmly, acting as though the lady might be a threat. Richard sighed and gently touched Imole's arm. "Imole, this is Nkechi, an old schoolmate." Nkechi ignored Imole's tense introduction and handed an envelope. "Yeah, Richard." Richard opened it curiously and found a wedding invitation card. He felt excited. "Wow! Nkechi, congratulations. This is good news." Nkechi smiled. "Thank you. I hope you will be able to come." At that moment, Imole realized she had misjudged Nkechi. Feeling embarrassed, she tried to speak to her. "Congratulations, Nkechi," she said, but she stammered. Nkechi nodded with a forced smile. Thanks, she said shortly and walked away. As they got into the car, Richard looked at Imole with amusement. You didn't have to worry, you know. Nkechi is just an old friend. Imole sighed, feeling foolish. I know. I'm sorry. I guess I just got a bit jealous. Richard squeezed her hand. It's okay, but you have nothing to worry about. You're the only one for me. Imole smiled. Thanks, baby, she said, feeling relieved. As they drove home, the awkward encounter with Nkechi faded as Richard played some music. The next morning, after Richard had gone to work, Imole received a call from her friend Rukayat. Hey babes, I'm at your salon, but your girl said you haven't shown up. Is everything okay? Rukayat asked. Imole, still in her nightwear, replied. Rukayat, I'm home today. I decided to take a rest. Rukayat felt concerned. Are you sure you are okay? Do you need anything? Imole smiled, appreciating her friend's concern. I'm fine, just a bit tired. The baby is taking a lot of my energy. You mean my goddaughter? Oh, please, let her take all the energy. Who else will? Rukayat said, and they both chuckled. I haven't told you it's a girl, Imole said. We will wait and see then. Rukayat said cheerfully, I will come over and keep you company. I can be there in 20 minutes. Imole laughed softly. Okay, I will make us some tea. True to her word, Rukayat arrived in about 20 minutes, carrying a small bag of fruits. I brought your favorite apples, she said with a smile. Imole's eye lit up. You are the best rookie baby. Come in. They settled on the sofa, sipping tea. So how's everything going? Rukayat asked. Imole smiled. Things are good. Richard is being extra sweet and protective since I got pregnant. He doesn't even want me to work sometimes. I feel like I'm being pampered too much. Rukayat chuckled. Well, you deserve it. You're carrying a precious little one. We've all waited for this. Imole smiled warmly. I guess you're right. I'm just not used to sitting still. Rukayat nodded. I get that. But it's important to take care of yourself. You will need all the strength you can. They spent the morning chatting, laughing, and catching up. Imole felt grateful for Rukayat's company. As they were chatting, Imole hesitated before voicing a thought that had been bothering her. Rukayat, I've been thinking about getting surgery to enhance my look. Rukayat's eyes widened in shock. What? Surgery? Why would you want to do that? Imole sighed, feeling a bit embarrassed. I'm worried about the women around Richard. I keep thinking he might be tempted. And you want a surgery while pregnant? Rukayat frowned. No, not now. I want to do it after giving birth, Imole said softly. Rukayat leaned forward. Do you think Richard is cheating? Imole shook her head slowly. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't have any proof. All men cheat, right? Rukayat took Imole's hands in hers. You're worrying too much, babes. Look at me. I'm fair-skinned, with a beautiful figure. I'm successful, and I don't have a man. It's not about looks. Imole looked down. I just want to feel more secure. She paused. Look up at Rukayat. Maybe I could use a cream that will make me a bit lighter. I'm too dark. Rukayat squeezed her hand gently. Imole, you are beautiful just the way you are. And remember, your husband hasn't complained about your looks. He loves you for who you are, I'm sure. Imole nodded. I guess you're right. Rukayat smiled warmly. It's normal to feel that way sometimes, but you have to trust your husband. He loves you and the baby. Don't let your fears push you into doing something you might regret. Imole took a deep breath and smiled back. Thanks. You always know how to make me feel better. Rukayat laughed softly. That's what friends are for. Now, let's focus on the positive things. You are going to be a wonderful mother and you have a loving husband. Everything else will fall into place. Imole nodded slowly. Rukayat hugged her. That's the spirit. Now, how about you eat an apple and we watch a movie? Imole smiled. That sounds perfect. As they settled back on the sofa, Imole still felt a bit of dissatisfaction deep within. However, she kept a cheerful face so that Rukayat won't bring it up again. Let's watch something funny, Rukayat suggested, grabbing the remote. Laughter is the best medicine. Imole nodded, forcing a smile. Sure, that sounds great. They found the comedy and started watching. Rukayat laughed heartily at the jokes, and Imole joined in, though her laughter felt a bit forced. She didn't want her friend to see how troubled she really was. After a while, Rukayat glanced at Imole. You know, if you ever need to talk more about this, I am here for you. Imole appreciated Rukayat's concern, but didn't want to dwell on her insecurities. Thanks, Rukayat. I can always count on you. As the movie ended, Rukayat stood up to leave. Thanks for coming over. You really made my day, Imole said, hugging her friend. Anytime, Imole. You know I'm always here for you. Take care. And remember you're beautiful just the way you are. Rukayat replied with a smile. After Rukayat left, Imole sat quietly for a moment. Her cheerful smile faded. Rukayat will never understand what it means to have a young, handsome, and successful man as a husband. She said to herself as she flipped through the TV channels.